and welcome to the presentation of the new Bitrix24. Today, we're going to talk about how our product is changing and helping businesses around the world stay competitive and profitable in the face of modern challenges. We see how the world around us is changing. A big part of these changes is technology. Self-driving cars, automated warehouses, paying online without leaving the chat. We will talk a lot about technology today. But let's begin with the global changes that are happening right now. Our first featured guest today is Nassim Taleb, a visionary, an economist, a writer, a philosopher, the author of several international bestsellers, the most famous being The Black Swan. The name of this book has become a metaphor for an unpredictable turning point event. The topic of our interview is modern global trends that affect us all. Let's watch an exclusive interview of Nassim Taleb.
Professor Nassim Taleb, great to have you with us again. Maybe it's been, like 2-3 months since we last spoke, and it seems like the world has changed again. So let's start from the beginning. I want to start with your latest book. You said something that was so spot on. You said the curse of modernity is more people can explain things better than they understand. And yes, that got me thinking so much. And it's true that you've been predicting the pandemic is going to be a problem. Bill Gates said it, and a lot of scientists were saying it. But the truth is that I'm thinking that no one really warned us about the scale of the catastrophe we're going in for. So I'm thinking, is it that they didn't predict enough and warned us enough, or is it just we didn't listen? And can we even trust any global prognosis after that?
Okay, it's because it looks like your grandmother understands the world vastly better than civil servants do. This is the truth that we have to live with. And not because civil servants aren't very intelligent, it's because ancestral instincts, to just react early, panic early. The panic early is much cheaper than panicking late, by the way. And because we have acquired, as mammals, not just as humans, a risk management system that just gets out of trouble. And but modernity, you have too many people intellectualizing problems and trying, if they don't understand the risk, they don't think it is risk. So they make logical errors. Like absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So we have a class of people who really don't understand what's going on. And they still don't understand what's going on, managing it. And they don't realize that the world today is vastly more prone to explosive pandemics than the one we had 500 years ago. And let me explain very simple. It's not just transportation. But there's not a place to hide, maybe New Zealand, not even, not a place to hide from the pandemic. 500 years ago, okay, you could have gone to Alaska, Mexico, places like that, you see. 500 years ago, it was very few people crossed the Atlantic and the Pacific. So, and it took effectively for the plague 150 years to reach some villages. In the 1400s, 1500s, it took 150 years for the plague because it was traveling slowly and you didn't have the connectivity. Today, all it takes is one single conference in Strasbourg or in Las Vegas, gathering 6,000-7,000 doctors with a very boring specialty, say urologists or something even more boring, people who deal with pancreas, okay? So they come from 150 countries to Las Vegas. One of them infects the rest and they redistribute. So 4 days later, you have COVID present in a large segment of the, of the globe. So this is different from the world of our ancestors. So we need even more risk management, more, react early type behavior, and they're doing exactly the opposite.
Okay, but to answer my question, do you feel like at this point there is an instrument that can really help us truly predict global prognosis? Can we even trust whatever is being said to us? This is what's going to happen in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years.
The whole trick is, Sophie, is, as I keep saying, don't predict, be prepared. Do not predict. We live in a world that's so unpredictable. But what we know about pandemics today is that they're going to spread much faster than past pandemics.
All
That we
right.
know. So we don't have to predict or just get out of trouble. We in a paper I did in Nature Physics with a colleague of mine, and we looked at has not been that many pandemics, only 72 in recorded history. 72, you have killed more than 1,000 people. And the solution is the minute something kills a certain number of people, you just overreact and you get it done with. The problem is now we're 9 months into it. They're still spending money on building nuclear weapons, okay? And they can't have testing. The solution is an instant test. Like you take a test, instant test, even if it doesn't have a high accuracy rate, good enough, then you enter the restaurant. If we had such a thing, okay, today we would be talking about something other than a pandemic.
All right, so let's talk about how unprepared we were for whatever hit us. Because I remember last time we spoke, you were like, what kind of black swan it is? Everyone's saying it wasn't a black swan. We warned so many times that pandemic is like the biggest threat. But it turned black just because people were so unprepared and heads of states were very helpless in dealing with the crisis. So, right, generally speaking, how should states help its citizens and businesses during crises like this? I don't know. They drop money from helicopters, better target support, tax breaks.
Yeah, I mean, they practically made every mistake in the book. When you look at China, China so far has been, they dealt with it very, very drastically in the beginning. And then now it looks like we have a normal life in China. Same with Taiwan, same in many of the neighboring countries. Now, when you face something like that, you don't take half measures. They spent their time on half measures. Lockdowns may be avoided, okay, if you go into mandatory masks, avoid super spreaders, and have overactive testing. Now, we still had super spreaders going on, okay. The Europeans had this weird policy of banning people from bars, but then you have full subways full of people. They say, oh, they have to go to work. Yeah, you can't be really contradictory in your measures. Either you have a measure to solve it, okay, drastically, and say, okay, we're going to be out of it if we overreact now, or you let it run. But this intermediate thing was extremely incoherent and has cost us a lot of lives and a lot of money. So they should have enforced the no super spreader events immediately, avoid flights, between continents, or have quarantine. I mean, it's not something very complicated. The Ottoman Empire had lazarettos stationed all around the empire, where there was a mandatory quarantine if you came from the Habsburgs. Okay, and they had the formula. If you came, today is 7 days quarantine. Okay, if there's a rumor of something, there's 14 days quarantine. So they had all these like spots positioned along the border, and if you went to their empire, you had to go through quarantine. It's not complicated. Okay, they still couldn't get the notion of quarantine.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the quarantine, because recently the WHO, they said that the key to defeating the coronavirus, is not a hard lockdown, but I'm quoting, mutual trust between the authorities and the population. I mean, that made me smile. What do you think the authorities should be doing?
Okay, I think from the beginning,
lockdown people, like you said, half quarantine or trust them?
No. But just avoid super spreaders. Figure out how the virus spreads. Don't lock people down, because first of all, you're not going to have a good compliance rate, okay? And you don't want to turn into police state, which anyway would be ineffective. You want overactive testing. That replaces quarantine. If you show up at the airport, okay, if you show up at JFK today, I was at JFK a week ago. I showed up, nobody asked me for anything. You see, there was no test, nothing. Okay? Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of places that don't have this. Overactive testing, every traveler, even if you're traveling, for a very short distance, every traveler must be tested prior to boarding the plane. You see, simple. That eliminates the need for quarantine, particularly as the tests gain in accuracy. So the government should have invested in rapid testing rather than just waste time on other things. That's the first thing. to avoid super spreaders, figure out how the thing spreads. And we know that it does spread during concentrated gatherings and stuff like that, particularly inside, not outside. So avoid that. And of course, have some kind of what should I call it? Force people to wear masks, have kind of measures. Even if we don't know how effective masks are, we know it's better than zero. My feeling is, from looking at the data as a statistician, which is my day job, we look at the data, we have very strong statistical signals that just these three, wear a mask and these other things, can completely eliminate the pandemic. You don't need to force people to stay home and locked up and spend their time, studying whatever, doing crossword puzzles or studying, as I did, Italian grammar. Okay, so that was my first thing. Now the measures to help people during the pandemic also wasn't entirely rational. The U.S. government helped corporations rather than help individuals. Now, my point is that a lot of corporations were harmed by the pandemic, but they deserve it. The corporation is not an individual. You should not have pity for a corporation. They deserve it. Airlines deserve it, you see. The airlines will not recover because they're not throwing bad money after bad, because the airlines, look, we're having this meeting on Zoom, okay, or some other platform. You can use some other platform. That is going to cut down on business travel big time. And a lot of airlines that are geared to service the business traveler and subsidize, of course, the vacationers. And these airlines are in the wrong business. So you don't help people in the wrong, help their employees. Do not help that bad business. It's not up to the taxpayer to help the airline, especially that the airlines got us here. Now, on the other hand, the airline, once this is over, the airlines that are budget for vacationers, like Ryanair and these people who are just designed to take Brits to Spain so they can get drunk there on the beach and come back or something like that. These kind of airlines, these will do very well because people are going to travel, but not for business as much. Mm-hmm. So this is where the government, some of the reactions of the governments, I find extremely misguided.
All right, we're going to talk in detail about how governments are trying to bail out different kinds of businesses, because I want to have your take on that. Before that, just really quickly, I want to touch upon this global tendency. 2020 has been a year of economic isolation, global trade alliances collapsing, borders closing, and people are like, well, it's because of pandemic. But I mean, the general thing is that all these trends were already there. It's just the pandemic was a great catalyzer and sort of fast forwarded things. Because like for now, it's like having a partner used to be beneficial. Now it's great to go solo. Do you have the same feeling? What's led the world towards?
I have. I mean, that's what we saw. We've been looking at for a few years. Is that you need catalysts to break systems that are inherently fragile, and we had some systems that were fragile, and you're doing a favor by breaking early the fragile, because then we can move on to bigger things and adapt. And this pandemic is not entirely bad, because there are a lot of things that have flourished during the pandemic, and I have a few stories to tell you. But for example, cities are immensely fragile. Like take New York City, San Francisco, they always have budget problems. You see, they have people overpaying for real estate in them, and the crowding and very bad services. So cities in America now are going to suffer because people can work from home. They don't need to be close to work that much, or work more from home. So New York City, for example, was fragile, and it was just a matter. It was like just a matter of time before it collapses again. It was bankrupt in '74 for the same reasons, and be bankrupt again. So, and we'd be doing a favor by letting people, cities go bankrupt, okay? So we get reorganized and the economy keeps going, and we should be helping the young people, not the established businesses, but the young people, you see? Not established businesses or established cities or established entities. So so in a way, you got to look at this pandemic as something that reveals weaknesses, but also reveals strengths.
Like what?
And so let me give you one anecdote, very simple anecdote. You have two kind of say people, people who, gyms were heavily hit by the pandemic. So you have gym owners who started crying at home, asking the government for help. And this friend of mine has a gym, said, okay, we're doomed for a long time. This is not gonna, work. So he got into the business of equipping people with home gyms. And he made much more money than he did before, you see. Now, it may be temporary, but still they have two kind of reaction with people. People who, when they have a problem, they seek help from the government, they sit down, start crying in their basement. And then or people who, the minute they see a problem, they look for an opportunity. Another example, there is a friend who's a waiter, okay? He was, of course, like if you're a waiter in New York, the odds of getting a job is extremely, much lower than being hit by a pink truck, not any truck, a pink truck, okay? So you can't get a job. So the fellow made so much more money than he did when he was a waiter by turning into delivery. You have a lot of old people who want food. Okay, you deliver food for all, go to the market, buy the stuff for them, and then of course put it on the doorstep, sterilized. And so there's a big market for these things, and you got to look at what works during the pandemic and how to make money. And people who've been successful during this pandemic are people who will be successful later. And there are businesses like Zoom, we're using Zoom or other platforms that are booming, you see. So it depends on what business you're in and the mindset. So you got to protect and help the businesses that can take advantage, okay, of problems, because in the long run, we need them, because these are the ones producing economic activity. The others are just probably parasites. They're just businesses who are there because of legacy reasons.
The truth is that something like Zoom, whose stocks went up 300% after the pandemic, doesn't really need any help from the government. The businesses that need help from the government, because not everyone is as inventive as your friend who transformed his gym into home. Not everyone is as inventive as a waiter who turned to delivery, right? So just talk to me about this another trend.
Let me tell you, this is
over the world, we're trying to fill out these industries, right? The big industries, and it's true that
it is a matter of ethics. Let me tell you why it's a matter of ethics. I want to help the employees of large corporations. They're human beings, but helping large corporations for the sake of helping large corporations, okay, to me is a transfer of money from a taxpayer, from the middle class, to the investor class. Why are we bailing out airlines? We're not bailing out airlines to help their employees. We're bailing out airlines to help the investors in airlines, you see? Mm-hmm. So you got to realize that you have a transfer from the working class by not bailing out employees, but bailing out the structure of the airline to the investment class, you see, a certain investment class. Now, I tell you, crisis, okay, is something very bad for individuals. We should protect individuals, okay? But we should also not penalize those who are inventive and know how to, companies that can benefit from these opportunities, because that's what we need for the future. This is how things are built, shocks, creative destruction.
Are you saying not bail out the big corporations at all?
Not bail out very carefully the corporations, bail out the employees. Okay, particularly if we think that corporations, like many, are not made for this environment. Shopping malls are, now people started to learn how to shop online. Not that they weren't shopping online before, but now it's more extensive. So we should not be helping shopping malls. Okay, we should be rather helping the employees of shopping malls, and letting that shopping malls anyway are have this concentration that is not very organic. We'd like stores, help stores in the neighborhoods. Yes, don't help shopping malls.
Should small and medium businesses be enjoying as much support from the government as the big corporations?
Small businesses are not getting as much support. This is the hairdresser, the barber, these people did not get bailed out in 2008, 2009. And this is going to be a long story, by the way, this pandemic, because we're not over yet. And they're not being, serviced. So I think the government should look at 4 categories of businesses. Businesses, because basically it's taxpayer money that we're using indirectly, via quantitative easing as well. You should look at companies or people who were harmed by the pandemic, but are long-term stable. Dentists, hairdressers, you see, of course, or even surgeons for elective surgery, something not immediate. So these people, have transitory problem. And anyway, we should support that class because we need them later, okay? Then you have businesses that have been hurt by the pandemic, but that's going to be, permanent.
Like what?
Airlines, for example, business catering airline, because we have a split in
what
preference.
do you think will die altogether with this pandemic?
No, the airline business isn't going to die. You have to realize that helping a specific company, okay, is helping a financial structure. It's not helping some economic entity. This is what in the mind of people, helping, airlines, they don't realize that you're helping the shareholders of airlines, okay, survive, okay? You're not helping a given business. Because let's think about it. When an airline goes bankrupt, the planes are still there. Someone can buy them, reorganize the business, buy the airlines, buy the routes, and have a more rational way to do business, not just based on a business strategy. So you'll be helping. Now, this is the second category of things permanently. And then you have companies, things that are helped permanently by this. Anything that has to do with delivery, anything that has to do with online conferencing technology. Most of the stock market rally, okay, that we've experienced the last 4 months came from technology, because a lot of technological companies have benefited from it. You see, and then finally you have businesses that are currently doing okay from the pandemic, but may not be permanent. But anyway, it's not that category. We don't have to care about them. Okay, they'll take care of themselves. Yes.
But because I'm not worried, and no one's worried about Zoom and the businesses that actually emerged during this pandemic, because we figured they're going to be fine. But what about those who are really struggling? Because this other trend, whether it's a big corporation or small or a medium-sized business, they're getting help from government in one way or another. And this new paternalism has become apparent since the beginning of the pandemic. It turned out that companies, businesses closer to the state survive better in a serious crisis. How much will this affect the future of the business landscape altogether? I mean, how should firms respond to the second wave? I mean, they didn't have much time in between first and second wave, but somewhat a couple of months to reevaluate. Should they seek shelter under the wings of the government, or should they find other ways too?
My point is, number one, the pandemic was something that everyone should have had contingency plans for, because it was so obvious. They have movies about pandemics. So people who are harmed by the pandemic are harmed largely, corporations are largely by their own, it's their own, by their, they're harmed by their own fault. So for example, airlines, instead of having a rainy day buffer, what did they do? They bought their own stock with their cash. So here we're helping them, okay, in spite of that. And of course, airlines also in the beginning of the pandemic lobbied to prevent the suspensions of some routes, okay, hence accelerated the spread of the disease. So they haven't been very good for the citizen, but yet we are helping them. So this is the problem with what we're encountering today is people close to governments, okay, have people in Washington will tend to get the lion's share of any bailout, okay, whereas the citizen doesn't have a lobby representative, you see. The citizen is supposed to be the government, but least represented. So it's always, you get the short shrift when you're the citizen and the regular taxpayer. But then also, I mean, there are businesses that are being harmed by the pandemic. Okay, businesses, like say the institutional businesses like the universities in the United States, they're harmed by the pandemic and they deserve it, okay? But the professors are not harmed because many people were underpaid by universities to be adjunct, now have their classes on Zoom. And they can access, it goes directly to students. And it was like the old days when Kant was lecturing, the university was a physical space, and the professor lectured to students and was paid by the students. You see, that was the old structure that we had. And we're going back to it now. I have so many of my friends who quit the university now because they can have 100 or so students online, and they give philosophy classes or whatever they specialize in directly to these students online, okay, particularly in the market of non-degree seeking people. So we have had a switch, plus we have losers and winners in anything. But in America, the tuition at a university, a private university in America, is something of the order of $60,000 or $70,000. See, the natural cost should be, maybe if you had something in Georgia or even in Southern Europe or in France, maybe it costs maybe 4,000. Okay, so you realize that business of taking all this money, $250,000 from every single, it's like almost a tax on the middle class, you know, because if you want to advance, you want to have your children in good colleges, that business is out. So the pandemic has done good things in that sense of flattening the structure, and now I can get a degree from Cyprus, for example, for much less money, which I would say at least the same quality, if not higher, than education you get from an Ivy League university in the United States.
Okay, well, we're going to talk definitely about the whole online impact on education a little later, but just to sum up the whole, should businesses seek government support or not? You were saying that individuals should just like take care of themselves, like professors started, you know, directly dealing with the students and getting paid on one-on-one basis? Or what is your formula for businesses in crisis right now? It doesn't matter whether
in general, okay,
should they seek government support?
Okay, so the question number one is, why should the taxpayer help a business? You got to think about it. Forget the government. Think in terms of taxpayer. You get a much clearer answer if you look at it in these terms. The taxpayer is saving Delta Airline or American Airline or United Airline or some other company. Why? It is because these firms have lobbyists in Washington, not for any other reasons, and because our investors, okay, find it extremely economical to invest in lobbyists to get a bailout, okay? You know, you spend pennies on lobbyists and you get your bailout. So this is what's happening in Washington. We have, if you notice, there is some, okay, citizen is getting some money, but the bulk, the lion's share of the money is going to those who are close to the government, you see? And that's a negative thing about bailouts.
But I think that's a very particular American example. Like, I'm not sure that French government is getting money from bailing out corporations.
It is the same thing. It is the same thing. In France, it's actually worse, because what happened is that in America, we still have separation between government and corporation. In France, the heads of, you know, they go to the same school, and then the head of corporation are people often from government, and vice versa. So you have this go back and forth between the top of the class of executives running almost state-owned corporations. And they're not state-owned, but almost state-owned because the state tells them what to do. So they have that, the French have a different structure where you don't even need a lobbyist, it's direct, the interplay between. And this is why you can see it in the survival of companies. Now, let me tell you one thing, even before COVID, we are in a prosperity period, or we have been in a prosperity period the last decade and a half, okay? We had a crisis, but overall it's prosperity period. During that period, the amount of time that a company, large company, spend in the S&P 500 has shortened. And that's healthy. So when I went to business schools a long time ago, look, it's no longer gray, it's white, the beard, okay? So a long time ago, companies spend 50 to 60 years in the S&P 500 in America. Today is close to 10, 11 years, okay? So just to tell you that large corporations, there's a cycle, there's a mortality of large corporations that doesn't come from COVID, doesn't come from anything. It just comes from the fact that we live in a dynamic world with a lot of changes, okay? And every time you support an aging corporation, you are killing a newcomer. That's what people don't get. You have to look at it that way, that supporting an aging corporation is killing a newcomer. I am in favor of supporting their employees. Give money directly to their employees.
Gotcha.
Okay, you see, that's the social. If you want to do some things, you know, and take care of the social dimension of things, take care of the employees. Employees are different. They're not taking care of employees. They are helping corporation. And don't forget, many of these corporations are laying off employees. Okay.
That seems to be the general trend. And another thing in recent years is top managers finding stock trading more interesting than actually manufacturing and business development. How global and long-term is this thing in your opinion? I mean, will it become the new norm as an expert? Like, does it seem that playing the stock exchange is more profitable than running?
No, I mean, we had a shortage of stocks. Okay. That was what was happening. And we needed, you know, and companies played the game very well by buying their own stock. Okay, by restricting the supply of stocks, by buying their own stock, and that was a game that helped the stock market rally. But also these companies at the top, or the companies in the S&P 500, have been very healthy. I mean, think of particularly driven by technology. Think of Apple. Think of all the companies like that. Apple, Microsoft, Google, all these companies, Facebook, have been making tons of money from this new environment that we've had the last 18 to 25 years. So let's focus now on the central idea that I'm saying, that there is creative disruption. Let's help the employees to not suffer, and let's help the new entrepreneurs who are going to give us companies much more adapted to our environment than need aged fossils. That was my point about how to direct bailouts. But what happened, you have to think of governments are like shocked, or still shocked by COVID. They're still half in denial. They don't realize what's going on, both physically and economically.
Do you feel like this second wave in terms of how they deal with businesses and an economy is going to be any different from the first wave, because they sort of had time to put it together?
I think it's going to be disastrous if they continue. What has happened, luckily, is a huge amount of adaptation. Okay? And it's not coming from the government, it's coming from individuals. The government and people at the top do not have they think that they're the ones who decide. Like, for example, the World Health Organization withheld from individuals the benefits of masks. They said, oh, they're going to have run on masks. They didn't think that people are inventive enough. It's an insult to our creativity to do things on their own. So governments are not realizing, or are realizing that we have a huge amount of adaptation, particularly in the United States. If you see what's happening here, adaptation in the sense of people working from home, people managing to live through that, and looking for businesses that can benefit, or at least are not harmed by the pandemic. So lawyers, for example, are becoming actually more efficient. If you look at the numbers, they're billing more than they did before COVID. Lawyers, how? They are, they're adapting. People who are adapting to COVID, okay? They're adapting, and then their lawyers now don't lose 2 hours a day in transportation. So they can bill more hours. So they are activities. For example, it is actually, you may have some gains of productivity with some people, not all people, working remote. So there are some advantages to what's going on, and there are worldwide advantages. Like, for example, if you're in Georgia, or you're in Moscow, or you're in Ukraine, you cannot get a visa to come work in the United States. And actually now it's even harder than it has ever been, or had been for a long time, because of unemployment, okay? But you can work remotely for a company in the United States. You can work remotely for Google. And Google, actually, I think many of these companies now are allowing 100% of their employees to give them the choice to work remotely. You can work remotely, where you don't need a visa to work from Moscow. you see, for a US company. And by the time they get the regulation, the lawyers will be ahead of regulators. So if they have regulations that you must have a visa to work for a US company overseas, okay, people who restructured companies will have companies supplying the work. You will always stay one step ahead of the game.
So it's almost like what you're describing. It's almost like people's revolution, as if like the people of the planet took charge for themselves because they had no other choice.
Exactly.
Right? So we no longer rely on anyone. We take charge, and this is better for our inventiveness and how we develop in the future in terms of business as well. Do I get it correctly?
Exactly. But on what I'm saying, the government, but I mentioned something disastrous earlier on, as the government's reaction to this is that people in office, because the government is mostly people who are in the office now who don't want to be criticized now. And they don't, what happens later is they could always blame it on someone else. So they're engaging in printing money. Mm-hmm. And never in the history of the world has printing money come without consequences. You see? Yep. So they're printing money. They're just, printing money. And actually, I keep saying the first socialist president of the United States is Donald Trump, something nobody expected, because COVID drove the rules. It's not the voters who drove the rules. It's, it could have been a far right person or left right person. It's the same thing. The Federal Reserve today owns 24,000 different bonds. 24,000 different bonds. Okay, if that's not socialism, when you own, securities and firms. And the second thing they have is, of course, they have issued checks to a lot of people, not people who needed the money, and that's socialism, redistribution of income to the bottom is and of course they're going to be, if it continues, they're going to have even more socialist policies, no matter who's going to be elected and whether they like it or not, they're going to have to keep engaging in these patches. Mm-hmm. So the second wave, you're going to have more of that, and what happens in the long run is going to be some kind of inflation, because you've never printed money without eventually getting inflation, and it comes abruptly. So it's smooth in the beginning, nothing happens, everybody's happy, it looks like it's working, and then suddenly the thing explodes.
Talk to me a bit more about the impact of this whole remote working. I mean, you're loving it. I know you've been remote since 2005. You didn't even have to wait for the pandemic. I'm loving it. A lot of people are loving it. That's going to probably change completely the landscape of the world and the businesses and everything. What is the long-term impact of this whole remote work?
The long-term impact is going to be more concentration than short-term for the usual, the regulars, tech companies. The ones at the top are going to be, you have more inequality within tech. Like a few companies are getting the lion's share of the benefit now, and eventually a redistribution. But we're going to have, but think of lifestyle of people, how much improved it is because they can work in their own environment rather than go to the office. And also, you have to also realize that notion of big company, where you have thousands of bankers and thousands of lawyers and thousands of accountants, like almost put like cattle, in these big buildings, was a remnant of the Industrial Revolution. That's not that organic. We like to work in workshops, a small number of people, and we're managing that. So it gives the individual much more independence in choosing their environment. Some don't like, of course, divorce lawyers are going to make some money from this, because remote work isn't entirely risk-free for individuals. We're going to have, of course, the lack of exercise. Already in America, people, don't exercise. It's going to be even worse. They don't go anywhere. They spend the whole day, 24 hours at home. But you're going to have some adaptation there as well. Like law offices are starting to reduce their space by 70%. Because you still need an office, but not every day. You have conferences. You will need physical conferences, but not for everything. Whereas in the past, we had to fly all around the world to go to conferences. I know, I'd fly, I'd go to 50 conferences a year around the world. That's a lot of, I gained a lot of weight, visibly, okay, doing that. And now I do most of them in Zoom, but I would like to do 10 of them, you see, physically. So you still have, so we have this shift. Go ahead.
So what is the perfect proportion of what should be on Zoom remotely and what should be in person? Because there's a lot of talk about what some people are saying, oh, people are so much more effective staying home and they can redistribute their time perfectly. And others are saying, no, if you don't have focus groups, because we people are social elements, if we don't interact with each other, if we don't see each other in the office at least time to time, this is just not good for the product. This is not just good for the future of.
Well, exactly. It depends. It depends on the individual.
Zoom versus live co-working.
Yeah, no, so it all depends on the individual. It depends on the industry. You see, but what I think is quite central is we're making discoveries as professors that teaching online has some benefits we did not see in the physical space, which is as follows: a lot of students who in the physical space would not ask questions are now asking. So for graduate education, I think it's going to be a huge net gain. For other business, and it's going to be much more in that direction, online teaching, particularly that graduate education is usually what people do after work. So you work or whatever you want to work. So even if you worked in a physical space, you don't have the energy to go to a classroom or you may have to travel for that. So it's much more convenient, you see, to have, you give a conference and you have people from India logging in and people from Alaska logging in. So it's not like, these are much easier to put together and you have more student participation or more participation. The content, I think, in my opinion, has improved quite a bit. But for a lot of things, say undergraduate education, you need a physical presence. You need, and then people also don't go to college for the content. People go to college to make friends. So we have a hybrid model. We have a hybrid model. So, but it depends on the businesses. If you're in a business that is, like for example, if you're a car salesperson, well, visibly you need to talk to clients. You can't show a car on Zoom. But there are businesses that can do okay on Zoom. Legal practices do very well with a higher combination of remote to physical, because people process documents and need concentration. But there are a lot of business like trading where you may need to have peers around you for conversation and to figure out the atmosphere, what's going on in the markets and stuff like that. So I remember when I was a trader, it's nice to have all traders in the same room. So and you can feel the market activity by the noise. See, when the noise level goes up. So these things you don't detect on Zoom. So it depends again on the individual and on the business.
So like you've pointed out, so many sectors are changing. It's almost like nothing's ever going to be the same again. And I feel like probably it's a very transformative era for internet itself, because I feel like the internet is becoming as fragmented as the economy. You know, for instance, Chinese model of a regulated sovereign internet has proven its effectiveness during the pandemic. And now we see Europe, we see Russia trying to follow suit, similar path. That is, they're sort of trying to bring the global online world into conformity with local interests. What do you think of that? Do you think this is a conflict that it will develop into something?
Okay, what has happened is, and let's talk about the internet as a general phenomenon, not just this is COVID or something. The more things move on the internet, okay, the freer the individuals feel, and the more they have the impression of controlling their own fate, because they're part of the story. In my last book, I spoke about the news. Okay, before the internet, people will sit down, family of whatever, 4.3 usually, that's US family, watching the news on TV. Okay, or you read the newspaper, you don't talk to it. So, but then they had this huge amount of freedom going into the web, where we go back to ancient practices. Before, 200-300 years ago, or in ancient times, people would get their news from the hairdresser or the barber or the fish market, So they would be both agents of news. You see, the people would be both transmitters and recipients of news. You see, so we had that interactive aspect that we didn't have before. Today, it's the same thing is happening on Twitter. You're both a news provider and a news recipient, as an ancient days. And political life had changed immensely. You see, it got polarized because people had their cliques where they get only the information from one another. It got polarized, but that's life. But what happened with the internet? So anytime the internet enters something, you have more transparency. You have more participation of individuals. It's more bottom up, more organic, more bottom up. And people feel they're in control of their fate, whether or not they are really in control of their fate. So this is what's good about the internet. So it changed the political life immensely. So we know what's going on in Syria, we know what's going on in Lebanon from the internet. I mean, the corruption of Lebanon, of the Lebanese government is all transparent, it's all on the internet, you see? Whereas in the past, it would have been hidden. So because of that, you have a complete different political dynamics. And it's also eliminating borders between countries. As we see now, you can work remotely for Microsoft based in Russia. I mean, the notion of visa is not, likewise, you have elimination of borders for corporations.
But yes and no, because in many ways, more transparent internet becomes, and more transparent news are out there for us to reach for them. More, for instance, the Chinese model. I'm not sure that Chinese people can actually go on their internet and figure out how corrupt or not corrupt Chinese government is. That's what I'm saying. Governments are now trying to regulate their internet,
okay,
not only politically, but also economically, you know, to conform with the local interests. And that's the trend that we see everywhere. And that's, I want to have your take on that.
Okay, I mean, the case of China is more the exception now. In other words, they still have more news than before the internet, okay? Because before that you had state control. I mean, think about it. You have countries where you have the Ministry of Information, and to have a coup, you invade the Ministry of Information, okay? You can't do that anymore. So China may have more control over the internet than, say, the United States or countries where you can just say whatever you want. But at the same time, it's much more transparent than it was in the past. And then news, believe me, you know, with things circulate one way or another. The governments cannot control. There's things, as I say, there are two things. No government is bigger than a market. So government cannot prop up their currency, and no government is powerful enough to repress information.
But also, the problem, I guess, is the post-truth era that we live in, because there's so much of it and you can't really differentiate what's fake news, what's not fake news. You know, it's so easy to manipulate us in terms of, like, 1 week, one topic is like the hot topic of the world, and then it changes and all of a sudden everyone forgets about that and we're talking about something else. How not to go crazy with whole inflow of the information that's so manipulative and changing, and also not knowing which source to go to in terms of, if I really want to go and find out what's going on in the world, I don't know if I'm really.
It's the same thing. It has been. The degree has changed, but it's the same story as in the past. Some people are reliable news providers, and you identify them rapidly as reliable news providers, and other people are not reliable. You see, you know, just as in the past. I mean, we knew that during Soviet days, that Pravda, okay, was not reliable. Okay, people know that, but they read between the lines. Sorry.
Still isn't.
Okay, but there's another interesting story there, that people think that fake news is a production of modern times. Just read any story about the French Revolution, okay, and look at all these rumors that were produced, okay, because the French had control of information in France. The king, you know, you can publish newspapers or books in France, but there was an entire industry of books published called libelles in England, okay, and smuggled across the channel, all right, by fishermen, okay, and with things accusing the Marie Antoinette of all kind of vices. So you had these libelles were so it's like today, like fake news on the internet today, were like so prevalent, you see. at a time. We don't read them now because, of course, history cleans up the fake news, but people lived in a combination of real news and fake news at a time. And sometimes they'd be taken over by fake news and the system managed to correct itself.
Okay. I want to go back a little bit about you saying how internet has become so transparent that people feel like they're, you know, in charge of their own destiny. When they're like on internet, they can really know what to do with their lives. But on the other hand, the pandemic has proven to be this unprecedented attack on our privacy. I mean, governments closely followed citizens during the lockdowns, internet companies willingly helped them to sort of demonstrating that all this user privacy is just a tool for turning a profit. And I mean, before we all knew that we traded our comfort for privacy, but this is a whole new level where we're trading like security for personal freedom. And it feels like there's no way back. There's no return.
Okay, no, it is true that during the pandemic, you can track citizens much better than before via their cell phones, because we are so addicted to the internet that you cannot live without a cell phone. And the minute you have a cell phone, then your government, if it wants, okay, can track you. Now, luckily in the United States, we have laws restricting and limiting how much the government can do to track you and you know, and get involved in your details. Google or companies like that can probably track crowds anonymously, which is not necessarily a good thing. Okay, you know, if they can track crowds, it means the crowd lost its freedom, but not an individual still has her or his freedom. You see. And in other countries, you may have to change the laws to just, you know, maybe the internet allows us to discuss these things, change the laws to prevent governments from tracking your activities on the internet, like, you know, like a US citizen, unless they have a, you know, a warrant.
Mm-hmm. But you don't feel like we've lost our privacy forever? Or you know, you don't feel like we've lost this?
I think the amount of transparency that we're getting today, thanks to the internet, is huge. It's so high that that it offsets any loss somewhere else. I mean, when I look at it as a package, what has happened as a package to social media, and if a civil servant messes with my life, I can expose her or him on social media. They realize that. You see, you no longer have the dominance of. What we had is, of course, the third estate, the press and the governments controlling people's lives. And if you own the press, you own that. Today, it's no longer possible. And as a matter of fact, the more, if you notice, you look at what's happening to the press in America, the more you know, the more they try to use social media, the more it goes against them.
So you're saying more they'll try to control us, more we have power to expose them.
Exactly. The individual has a huge amount of power these days.
So not to be worried. Okay, a little more about trends, because in recent years, there's a large-scale conflict emerging between tech giants and the interests of the countries where they actually operate. Like, for instance, if you see Google, it wants to sell here, pay tax in Ireland, or Russia wants to pay taxes where it sells. But like right now, international legislation allows it to choose. What's your forecast? Like, who will be stronger?
My forecast, I mean, you have to look at it. I mean, I was an arbitrage trader, okay, for a long time. And I tell people, why was I in that business? Because I saw a lot of distortions coming from the fact that governments would put regulations and people would go around these regulations, okay? And then there'd be a lot of transaction in the middle that would be an opportunity for me to do arbitrage. Like, for example, if you ban Japanese corporations from owning US bonds, some lawyer will put together an ironclad contract, replicating a US bond with some other you know, entity that allows them to buy that, for example. And then likewise, if the government forces Google, you know, to have pay all its taxes here and to be based in the United States, well, Google can easily move to Ireland or whatever, whoever invites them, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of countries inviting them, establish themselves there, and that's it. So whenever you have international commerce, think about it. We have most Greek ships are in Liberia. Liberia, I don't know how many ships they have, Okay, but that's a you can register there, because if you do an international trade, you see, is where you can register whatever you want. Okay, and then people can tax you on the services elsewhere, and the governments realize that, so they would like some kind of compliance on the part of companies. Okay, by saying, okay, you know what, try to be a good citizen and pay your taxes where you're originally from. And some companies don't like that. But the problem isn't so much the tax problem, because the tax problem, government cannot control that tax issue. You see, because companies can really get or reorganize, as Google based in Cyprus. I mean, they can, you know, what's wrong with using the Cypriot service? You see, so and it's so hard to tax traffic and stuff like that. People can go around it. Now, what the problem is at a different level. The problem is that tech companies are becoming too big. That's a more severe problem. And that's one we can deal with. So Microsoft, you remember, had antitrust, was mired into an antitrust game that turned out okay for Microsoft. But the legal system in America and now in Europe, okay, is powerful enough to break any company that becomes too powerful and exert coercion over the citizen. And I think this is an accomplishment, because now the EU, there's one thing they do right, okay, is that they are concerned with the antitrust problem, okay? Now, eventually, because think about it, Google is providing you with a service that you can get from probably 5,000 other companies. You see, you can build a browser. Remember, Google rose like in no time. We're using Alta Vista, and then suddenly we switched to Google. We switched to something else. So if they get too greedy in running your lives, there's a barrier to entry is not huge for Google, for maybe Facebook, because they have a lot of your friends there, but it doesn't take a long to have mutation. You see, we had a lot of social media companies that were very, very, very dominant, and nobody hears about them anymore. You see. So you can have very easily move towards new form of social media. And also antitrust can weaken a company enough to allow competitors to jump. And I think it's a good thing, because you do not want to have a company run your life with impunity. And if Google gets too powerful, it will take over Washington. They tried.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Talk to me about that, because right now it really feels like there are two maps that are gonna juxtapose each other: the old sort of political paradigm map of the world leaders and the tech giant heads, right? And it seems like they're the ones who have become the rulers of the world at this point.
Yes. Yes.
Like saying, it's like the old rules don't work anymore, but no one has invented the new ones yet. And it feels like those two maps are clashing.
Yes.
Which one is going to squeeze out which, and what's going to happen?
The old paradigm, governments were hard to replace. You see, you can't change the U.S. government. You can just change the president, and in fact, it's always cosmetic, because the difference between these presidents is minor you see, not huge. Okay, but what you could do with a tech giant is break it. You see, if you keep competition going, Google is not going to be broken by the government as much as it's going to be broken by some schmoogle or by some other company that will replace it and break its hold over you. And it doesn't take long in social media. Remember, the road from college dorms to Google to dominate the planet was like very short, couple of years. The amount of time it took. So the road is very short. It'd be equally short to go from Google back to college dorms if someone else takes it. This is quite central. No matter how powerful these companies are, technology has unpredictable qualities. And you don't know, like, take Zoom. Zoom now is becoming powerful enough. You see? Of course, it has competitors, but just like you had things rise, whenever you have an area where companies rise very quickly, you also have companies collapse very quickly.
So you're saying there's not really danger of the tech map squeezing out the old political paradigm map. It's just going to be transforming itself.
No, it's going to be squeezing out the paradigm, but the tech giants are going to be changing all the time.
by themselves.
By themselves,
No
yes.
government regulations. They're just going to be changing themselves, but they're going to be the ones taking over the world, right?
Yeah, no. Tech giants, tech will take over the world. Okay? Tech will take over the world, but unlike governments, they cannot get too powerful, okay? Because we still have governments, with antitrust, and also because they are competing with one another.
So you're saying that's going to be the new government, the tech map, but they're going to have checks and balances just like the old governments do.
Exactly, and they have bankruptcy. You see, governments don't go bankrupt. I remember something that people in Russia liked is that I'm writing in volume 5 of the Incerto, and in volume 6 of the Incerto, and in it I have this rule: you should never start a government institution without an expiration date, because once it's there, it's permanent. So they opened a university called 2035 because they said that's the expiration date. So, but companies have an expiration date called bankruptcy, and large companies don't survive. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you that one thing I keep focusing on. I'm not afraid of large companies so long as they don't gain advantages, legal advantages over small companies, and odds are they don't. You see, for the following reason: an elephant is vastly more efficient than a mouse metabolically. But an elephant breaks a leg, immediately it's done. A mouse, okay, you can throw it out the window. I'm sure you won't throw it out of the window, but you could, all right? And it will laugh at you. You see how when you get larger, large corporations are much more vulnerable to shocks. You see, look at Boeing. Shocks harm large corporations much more than small corporations. So, and they tend to get weak, naturally weak, as they become giants, and just finding vulnerability. Plus, there's another thing I would like to say now that is good about our environment and translate that into everything. In the past, we can identify a country that doesn't have good governance where being at the top, it gives you some immunity. So you can do things you can't do when you're, when you're a regular person. Well, now what's happening in our world because of transparency is worse. You see, if you can't, there's things you can't do when you're at the top. Everybody's looking at you. You see, you can't cheat on taxes. You can't do things. The national sport in Italy is cheat on taxes, but when you're at the top, it's so visible. You see, so here we have a change in that environment. So think about it: when tech giants commit violations, okay, other tech companies detect them. Mm-hmm. And then people did gang up against Microsoft for a long time. Remember, it was weakened not just by the government, but by all programs. Everybody hated Microsoft at the time. The tech life was dominated by Microsoft. That was a big company, okay? And then now we have other giants, and we're going to have more giants.
Professor, I like to say this was professor because I know you're leaving academia soon. It's always such a delight talking to you. Just to wrap this up, what is the formula you have behind your back? I'm wondering. I have no clue.
No, it was an election forecasting. I have there's a fellow called Nate Silver, for whom I don't hold a lot of respect. Okay, making predictions, and I wrote a paper, and I was giving a lecture on that. This technical little paper explaining that under high uncertainty, you should keep your probabilities at 50-50.
So 50 Biden, 50 Trump.
50, exactly. And don't change it much. It doesn't react, because if you get information changing that, you may get information tomorrow or reversing that. So keep it close to 50-50. That's the rational way. And I'm treating it like a bet, an option bet.
Way to keep us in suspense.
So how many interviews have we done together, Sophie, so far?
It's probably our 5th one, Nicholas.
5th one. So I predict there's going to be a 6th one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I like this. With each time, it gets better and better. We should.
Also, it's more natural. As the French say, "à bâton rompu." You see, there's a guiding direction, but we don't have this. It's not cosmetic. It's just like a conversation.
I love it. I love it. We should consider going on tour with our interviews. I think it's going to be a great duet.
So long as I don't leave my studio here, I'm okay.
I'll take you. All right. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been it's a pleasure always talking to you. Take care of yourself.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Sophie. Thanks.
Bye, Nicholas. Bye.
Bye now.
Sofiko Shevardnadze and Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Thanks a lot for such an interesting talk. Global trends affect all of the countries where your business and your clients are. Bitrix24 is an international product. People from all over the world use it. That's why today we are presenting the new version of Bitrix24 in 6 different languages. Let's see what our team has in store for you. Lots of tools to make your daily work even more productive.
Challenges, hardships, isolation. At times, they seem overpowering. All you need is to make the first step. Forget the past and look into the future. See opportunities where others see obstacles. Dream big and take risks. Reach the top only to realize that the sky is the limit. All these challenges are there just to push us towards innovation. Nothing can isolate the human spirit. Our potential is truly endless as long as we keep pushing the limits. Meet the new Bitrix24.
Good morning. I'm really glad to welcome you all here where we're about to start our presentation of the new Bitrix24. Greetings to everyone who's watching us online. Let's proceed to our main attraction. Today we're going to show you how Bitrix24 has improved and gotten even better than it was. Right now, I'm joined on stage by my colleague, Kate, who'll be helping me.
Hello, Sergey.
Hello, Kate. The new Bitrix24 is all about helping businesses worldwide. The idea behind our product is to put together a set of tools that will provide a modern company with everything it needs to work online. These tools are virtual office, tasks and projects, CRM sites and stores. We're going to cover all of this and a lot more during our presentation today. Even if you're not that familiar with Bitrix24, yet you will learn everything you need. Today, when companies start to work online, they often end up in a situation when their communications become very fragmented. It can get pretty messy. Up to the point when people use one tool for sending messages, another tool for working with tasks, and yet another tool for sales. Our strategic goal has always been to create a single product that brings together the whole company and creates a unified online workspace. That's what drives us and our decision-making process. So, Bitrix24 is designed to help businesses around the world.
That's right. We even have a special map that shows you how global we have become. Each circle here on this map shows you the number of companies that are using Bitrix24 in that area at this very moment.
It's actually amazing to see our clients actively developing their businesses in all these different parts of the world. 8 million companies have already become Bitrix24 clients. Our product is available in 18 languages. I believe all major languages are represented here. Every new localization is a huge challenge for us, but we know it's the right thing to do. Learning to speak the client's language. Your language. That's what makes today's event so special. We thought, hey, why not go ahead and have our release presentation localized professionally into 6 different languages? And we did it. Still an experiment for us, but we hope you will enjoy it. We got inspired by our partners who all speak to us in their languages. Take a listen.
Experimente o Bitrix24, o contact center online gratuito.
Chị mình sẽ thấy bên left menu mình là có chữ CRM.
Funkcjonalności, jakie chciałbym mieć widoczne.
Kundenservice mit Bitrix24 Telephony.
With the basic Bitrix24 functionality.
Ya está.
Directamente desde Bitrix24 CRM.
24 integración.
Marketing, vendas.
Bitrix24 memulihkan Anda.
Aguardo no próximo. Abraço.
24, por exemplo, está com os atualizativos.
Y con la nueva aplicación móvil de Bitrix24.
Go to Bitrix24.com today.
Such a beautiful thing to see, all these different people from different cultures using our product.
Bitrix24 is one of the biggest IT projects in the world. We operate in 70 data centers around the world, providing 99.99% service availability.
And we're very proud of these results. But how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected our company? Well, we've been working remotely since March 17. Our offices are empty and everyone works from home using Bitrix24. That's right, we use our own product like we always did, because it's got everything you need to work remotely. Video calls, chats, tasks, cloud storage documents, and more. You wouldn't believe how much positive feedback we have received in the last 6 months from our clients, and also had to go remote using Bitrix24. It's been overwhelming, learning how our product has helped thousands of businesses to survive and even grow during this time of crisis. On April 3, 2020, we announced an updated version of Bitrix24 under the codename London. We originally planned to develop and release a lot of new components. The whole remote work thing caught us off guard, and some corrections had to be made. Some features that we thought would take a long time to complete, we were able to do sooner. Other elements took us longer than expected. Still, we managed to nail almost all of them. There is still some work left to do, and we'll talk about it today too. Our tech support was probably the most difficult thing to scale. In some countries, we doubled and even tripled the number of our clients since the beginning of the pandemic. Scaling data is much easier than scaling your workforce. That said, we have been actively recruiting people recently, which helped us to accommodate the new clients. Now, more than 100 people are here to support you in 8 languages.
Speaking of partners, the Bitrix24 partner network is growing rapidly as well. Currently, we have over 17,500 partners. In fact, you can become our partner too. Click on the link and fill out the form.
We have a long-standing tradition of giving names to our product releases. This new version of Bitrix24 is called Seoul. And let's just get right into it. With every release, there's always a main theme. Of course, this year, it's the COVID-19 pandemic. This has been a challenge for many businesses and even nations. And our main goal here is to give you a competitive edge so that your business could survive and even thrive in this ever-changing environment. That, of course, is impossible without Bitrix24 being reasonably priced, especially at the time when resources are becoming scarce. The ongoing economic crisis is another hot issue for both us and our clients. Our featured guest today, Nassim Taleb, has made a few interesting observations on this topic in his presentation. So, that's why we will mainly focus on 2 things today: how to adapt your business to the new reality and keep it competitive.
Make sure you watch us till the end because we've got a really nice surprise for you. It will be good, I promise.
Yeah, it's sort of a new product. You'll see. Now, the new Bitrix24 features 5 main elements: Virtual Office, Tasks and Projects, CRM, Sites, and Stores. But let's start with our mobile application.
You can start using Bitrix24 not only in your browser, but also from your smartphone. It's really easy. You create an account, enter your phone number, and get a text message to confirm it. That's it. Your Bitrix24 is up and running. The next step is inviting your colleagues. Choose them from your contacts and send them a registration link. Once they click on it, they become registered users of your Bitrix24.
I actually like the scenario when you send that registration link to your colleagues via all these different messengers they're using. One click and they're in. It's really that simple. So, what's inside the Bitrix24 mobile app? First and foremost, it's the chat. A place where you can exchange information with different users, groups, and channels. All the good stuff you know and like. But there's more. The new version of Bitrix24 features HD video calls.
Now, you can make a group call right from your Bitrix24 mobile app. It can be your team, your department, or even the whole company. Up to 24 people. Here's what it looks like. It automatically switches to the person who is speaking.
Yeah, you can have up to 24 people in your video call in the crisp and clear HD quality. Calls are made right from the chat you're currently in, which means you can dial everyone there automatically.
Bitrix24 Chat has lots of other great options. Private chats, group chats, open and closed channels, one-on-one calls, group calls, and audio messages.
Chats are something we all kinda got used to. When we talk to business owners, they say that chats are good and fine. Tasks are the problem. And the fact that many employees simply forget about their tasks or they get lost in the shuffle. That's why it's not enough just to have chats. Your employees have got to do their job and do it well. And we have a solution for you. In the Bitrix24, you can create a task from any message in your chat right in the middle of the conversation. Got an idea? Turn it into a task right away and assign it to one of your team members.
Of course, you can use the old-fashioned way of setting tasks. There's a special section in our mobile application where you can create tasks for yourself and your colleagues. You can also make to-do lists, set deadlines, and responsible people for these tasks. Thus, all the tasks you're working with stay inside Bitrix24.
We are trying to make mobile tasks even more convenient. Sometimes you want to set a task when you're commuting to work, just because you've got an idea. So, what else is new in mobile tasks? Well, it's the task list. Now, the most important tasks are automatically shown on top. These are the tasks that are being worked on at the moment. The more activity you have inside a task, the higher it's on the list. Another thing we have significantly improved is counters. Now you can quickly select tasks with new, unread comments and see if you need to react somehow. You can easily find overdue tasks or tasks that are pending evaluation. This saves you plenty of time and helps you to focus on what's really important.
Another interesting option we have created for you is sorting the tasks by roles. This way, you can always see what's going on in the tasks. You have the chance to select your role. You can choose to be an observer or a participant. All of this right from your mobile application.
Again, when you're sorting your tasks by role, you can choose the ones that have new comments, the ones that are overdue or pending your evaluation. Deadlines also come in the form of a list. Sometimes you're not sure which task to do first, and you need to figure it out. Well, now we have a special filter, which allows you to see all the tasks you need to do in the nearest future. Today, tomorrow, this week, or next week. By the way, they can also be sorted by roles. It's a very simple but hugely convenient option.
Working with projects inside tasks has also become easier. In your mobile app, to find a project, you need to enter its icon into the task list. If you click on it, you will open the project where all the tasks will be sorted according to this project timeline. You also can work with tasks by roles, observer or participant, or sort tasks that need your reaction or comment. Finally, you can easily find any project on your smartphone and open it to work with the tasks inside.
Audio tasks. Sometimes a text message is not enough. Sometimes you want to express your emotions directly by recording a voice message. You need to explain clearly what you want to be done. So here they are. Please welcome audio tasks. These were mobile tasks, and they are evolving pretty quickly. We are actively developing this tool. In fact, there's been a few times when I was sitting by my laptop, but still using our mobile app to write to someone or create a task. Generally speaking, this combined scenario, when you work both from your computer and your smartphone, is becoming more and more popular. We've been also improving the company newsfeed on mobile devices, and it's a simple mechanism that complements tasks and chats so well. It creates a positive environment, emotions. It allows you to receive feedback from your team members, and it's not always a specific news post or picture. It can be documents, discussions, some work-related issues. We will talk about that later. As we were working on our newsfeed feature, we noticed something that was really missing. Sometimes when you're out there commuting, you're scrolling the newsfeed and see a long message that you can't reply to in this exact moment. In this new version of Bitrix24, you can pin a news post to the top of your list and then go back to it later so that it won't get lost.
Well, in addition to the fact that we read some news, some information, it is important to share your own news and important messages. That's why the new Bitrix24 mobile app has an improved form of post creation. What makes it really great is that now you can not only share some text information, but also choose a cool-looking background to draw attention to your message. You can create polls, upload files, express gratitude to colleagues, and share your posts with all your colleagues, selected departments, or people. A major improvement over the current version.
Company News is the final fourth component that makes up our mobile app. These four major components are chats for instant messaging, video calls, tasks, and newsfeed. These four tools form the new mobile application.
A chat with your marketing manager, a chat with your accountant, a chat with your courier, a group chat with your legal team, and a chat with your sales assistants, all in different messengers. Chats are great for talking, but aren't very effective for getting the work done. Bitrix24 keeps your work inside your chats, so you won't miss what's important. Create tasks from any message, tasks with clear deadlines, tasks with comments and files, large tasks broken down into checklists, urgent tasks that stay in clear view. Your business runs smoothly when all your work is in tasks. Bitrix24 tasks unite teams. A task complete is a goal achieved. And achievements need to be shared. But where do you start? Invite your team to Bitrix24. In seconds, chats and video calls to keep you connected, tasks and projects to help you stay on track, and the news feed to keep you all on the same page. Bitrix24 is trusted by over 7 million businesses worldwide. Get your free account at Bitrix24.com today.
So that was our new mobile app. And now we're ready to move on to the next segment, which is Virtual Office. Working in this new stressful environment requires a large set of tools. We need to communicate in chats. We need to manage documents online. We need a calendar for scheduling meetings, working with groups, projects, work retorts, time management, HR management, and business processes and RPA. That's what you've got in the Bitrix24 Virtual Office. I would probably say that this virtual office presents a new value for the company. The value of communication. When we are divided, even within one floor, into several rooms, it is already harder for us to communicate. But if we have several floors and even offices, then we absolutely need the tools to bring us back together, at least online. Now the pandemic has led us to the fact that sometimes a person can be cut off from the rest of the world, even with the slightest set of symptoms, That's why we need a way to always be able to stay in touch, and chats are there to help us. First of all, it's quite a traditional case of connecting two people, one with a computer and the other with a smartphone. Documents, files, calls, everything works as we expect it to. It's really easy to create a group chat to invite several employees for some discussion. They can be from different departments. You can get your chat together and start to communicate and discuss, and it doesn't matter where these people are or what device they are using.
It's a totally different thing when you're not just writing messages in a chat, but when you can actually see the person you're talking to, which is what video calls are for. We have updated the interface of our video calls. It is something we are very proud of. Now you can call your whole team or department in just one click. Actually, we have added a lot of interesting features inside, and now we're going to demonstrate each one of them. First of all, it's the speaker mode, when you can automatically switch to the person who is speaking at the moment during the video call. It's the new screen sharing feature. Basically, you can choose a specific window or program that you want to share with other participants of the call in just one click. And now, the long-awaited feature, backgrounds. Yes, now you can choose to have your own nice backgrounds, pictures and video files, and you can use them to spice up your calls. We actually have a whole collection of pictures, including animated backgrounds. But of course, you can also choose to upload your own backgrounds, pictures, or video files.
As cool as they are, these backgrounds can be really distracting sometimes. But hey, it's all good. So the speaker mode automatically shows the person who is currently speaking. Raise a hand button. You know, there's this situation during a video call where everyone turns off the microphone, and those who would like to say something have to raise their hands. Now we've got a button for that. Screen sharing with the choice of the application you want to share, call backgrounds for your call. You can add your own photo or video, or choose from our collection, blurring the background where you can choose the blur level. In fact, our guys from the Bitrix24 lab have developed a really cool neural net, which makes this feature work with the minimal load to the CPU. So the quality of the call is always high. Call recording is another great tool that's so useful sometimes. You can attach the recording to the call or refer to it later.
We understand that making a video call from the chat is not always the main scenario. What if you're working inside a task now and there's a huge discussion going on? Sometimes it's easier to do it in the video call format. Or, for example, you have published a news post and want to discuss it immediately via video call. Now you can call people from your profile, from a chat, from the calendar, from a task, or right from a news post.
Being able to make a video call from the calendar, that's what the guys from our team are digging the most. You can just have to schedule a meeting, make one click, and boom! All the participants of this meeting are in your video call. It saves a lot of time and hassle because you don't need to create a special link to set up a call. One click is all it takes. There's another business aspect to video calls. Companies now have to make a lot of video calls remotely, and a new etiquette is being formed where you don't always have to pre-arrange your video call. Just go ahead and dial that person you want to call. If that person is busy, the system will simply inform you about it. So it is as easy and fast as coming up to your colleague in the office and asking them about something. A lot of our clients have this new routine. A morning video call at 9. You get to see your team and talk to them, and then 10 minutes later they can all start their working day. There are plenty of other video call scenarios. Sometimes you have to be on the video call the whole day coordinating your department's activities, or you may want to have an evening call, or we say coffee call, for some informal communication at the end of the working day. But that's inside the company. Outside, there's also work with clients, and in the new version of Bitrix24, we've got HD video conferences, and here's what they look like.
Now we have a separate section in the video conference menu where you can create conferences and schedule them. Here, you need to create a name for the conference and then invite internal employees who you want to participate in the call. You can set a password that people will use to connect to this conference and then generate a link that you will send to external users, someone who's not in your Bitrix24. These can be your clients, partners, or pretty much anyone else.
All video conferences will be stored for later use, and you will get access, of course, only to yours. And this is how you connect directly to your customers.
Yes. Here you start a call in just a couple of clicks. Your clients click on the link and you send them. And there you are in a video call with Bitrix24.
The opportunities that we provide in video calls are all available here. Screen sharing, creating a video conference from a chat. And you can also initiate a call right from the chat and invite people to talk using just the link.
External participants, for example your clients, can connect directly from their smartphones by following the link and joining the conference without additional registrations. All they have to do is allow access to the camera and microphone.
So, this is the new HD version of video conferencing for 24 people with a lot of additional features, support for mobile devices. Everything you need to communicate with your colleagues and clients. What is the difference between a video conference and a video call? Well, video calls are a quick way of communication inside a company. You don't need to worry about the links and who should send what. But when you do use the links to invite people, that's a video conference.
Does the process of organizing a video conference take more time than the call itself? There's no need to organize video calls in Bitrix24. You won't need to pull your employees together from different services. They are already in your Bitrix24. Start a call in one click directly from a meeting in your calendar. Dial all the chat participants and quickly discuss work-related issues. Make calls directly from a task that you're working on together. Connect people who do not have Bitrix24 using just a link, without any apps or registration. Bitrix24 conference calls are in the calendar, task, chat, or newsfeed, all the places where you collaborate with your colleagues. All your files, documents, and call recordings will be saved in Bitrix24 and remain confidential. Bitrix24 HD video calls, helping you work remotely. Free to use, no time limit.
Our team has done a great job here. Video calls are a must-have tool for a company and for many of our clients that we use on a daily basis. So let's move on with the presentation. Company Newsfeed. It is an environment where you communicate with people, create polls, engage in discussions. You can easily attach a photo or a document to your discussion, integrate it with Office 365, Google Docs, or your local Office applications.
And another important thing is that you can post this message not only for your employees, but you can choose who should see your document or your message. You can choose specific departments, people, or a work group for discussion. Once you've published that news post, all your colleagues can instantly connect and give you some feedback in the form of emojis, likes, and comments, sparking a new discussion.
Actually, it is very convenient for some of our clients to discuss documents that way, because the version history of a document, which is edited, for example, by legal specialists or accountants, is loaded in the form of comments inside the message. All this creates a completely new environment for work, a great tool for collaboration within the company. And it turns out that we have two somewhat similar tools, Chats and Newsfeed. What's the difference between them and how should we use them? We view Chats mostly as a tool for instant messaging, quick and easy, especially with video calls. But if there are a lot of people involved and they all have to say something, the quality of communication suffers a lot. You don't have time to follow the whole discussion or even think about it or comment on a message. That's when the newsfeed comes in. It's great for a large number of participants and suggests a more thoughtful discussion when you need to discuss some documents or make big decisions. And, in fact, the newsfeed replaces any internal emails that still might exist in the company. In fact, these tools are not opposed to each other. They work in pair and complement each other perfectly, creating a productive environment for solving problems within the company.
Well, next tool is the calendar. I'm pretty sure that today everyone uses this tool on a daily basis. We all do our business and schedule events in the calendar. Of course, we have our own calendar in Bitrix24. And the great thing about it is that it helps you to find the best, most convenient time for all employees to meet. We have a great planner that shows if the employees are busy or not at the moment. And it also helps you to choose the best time for everyone to meet.
The calendar has been updated and some new features have been added. We've been waiting for some of them for a long time. It was already easy to schedule a meeting inside the company. Now, in addition to your own employees, you can connect any external users by specifying them as recipients via email. Here's how you do it. You specify an email address, which will be stored so that you can find them easily in the future, set the time and send the invitation. Your colleagues will have to confirm it. Your external users who want to take part in this event will receive an email and add the event in their own schedule, and even see the confirmation from other participants. The invitation of external participants in the new version is in the iCal format.
And of course, you need to synchronize the Bitrix24 calendar with your mobile. You could do it before, but it was necessary to go through some steps. Now you can synchronize your calendar by scanning a QR code from your smartphone display using your mobile camera. The calendar will be automatically synchronized and all the events that you create in the Bitrix24 calendar will appear in your smartphone.
Our next tool is Bitrix24 Drive. We are all used to cloud files and the fact that they should be stored within the company. That's why we've got the company drive for the whole company and my drive for every employee inside Bitrix24. And we support complete synchronization of your Bitrix24 folder. All the documents you store there will be automatically synced with your cloud. And no matter where you access Bitrix24, all the documents will be at your fingertips and you can always work with them. Bitrix24 is a great alternative for using a large number of cloud drives. Among other things, it is an important tool for the whole company with version history, a recycle bin where you keep deleted files, and everything that's necessary for online collaboration.
We have updated the interface of employee invitation to Bitrix24. Now it looks more beautiful than ever, and here you can choose the most convenient way to invite your employees, by phone number, email, or instantly invite a group of your employees directly from the link.
Company structure. We want not only to invite people, but to form a visual structure. And not just to see where you're placed in this hierarchy, but to configure access permissions. In our architecture, in our logic, managers have access to their own tasks and the tasks of their subordinates. And this way, you can distribute access rights to various elements. There are two other tools that I appreciate very much as an executive. These are work reports and time tracking. Especially in remote work, they are indispensable. The start and finish of your working day. Because working remotely doesn't mean working without a schedule. It means working from home, but still working. Your working day should correspond to the company's working hours. The integration of this tool helps, in my opinion, to bring back 30% of your working time inside the company. And at the end of your working day or at the end of the working week, you need to do your work report and send it to your manager for evaluation. This evaluation lets employees know whether their manager is satisfied with their work or not.
Apart from communication, working with documents and calendars, of course there are some standard recurring processes within any company, such as leave requests, coordination of business trips, payment approvals. And believe it or not, we've got a tool for that too in Bitrix24, and it's called Robotic Process Automation, RPA. It allows you to place your processes on the Kanban board and then track how the processes are going along inside the company, how they are launched by employees, how they are approved by managers, and so on.
Business automation. The bigger the company, the more business processes it has to deal with. You want to automate as much as you can, and at the same time, not lose flexibility. You want to learn how to create these business processes quickly. It is a great tool regarded highly by our clients who run companies with hundreds or thousands of people. They approve payments, leaves, business trips. Everything related to the company's activity can be turned into such standard processes and automated. RPA is often used by our partners who do a lot of work helping companies to implement this tool. Knowledge base is up next. It is important not only for business purposes, but also for gathering knowledge from people and especially for onboarding new employees.
And we have a great tool for this, which helps employees to share their knowledge in a knowledge base that's already structured. Inside our tool, you will find templates, which you can fill with what you prefer. Text, videos, images, creating and sharing posts that are not only informative, but look stunning as well.
We are constantly developing our knowledge base tool, and now we're ready to introduce some new elements, like creating a knowledge base entry in one click right from the newsfeed. A lot of times you get a report posted in the newsfeed. Well, at least that's how I prefer it. And now we've got all these beautiful reports, events, and you can publish the whole message directly to the knowledge base. Just pick one of the templates and create a new page in the knowledge base.
If you don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about how to arrange the elements on a page so that everyone will understand, we have smart templates. When you're in the process of creating a page in the knowledge base, choose one of those templates and fill it with the new content.
Yes, you can easily manage the structure in order to organize and present information in the most understandable way. A lot of our clients use knowledge bases very creatively. For example, in CRM, tasks, or to write down some work instructions. There is another tool that we know helps our clients a lot. This is the Bitrix24 desktop app. I use it on my MacBook all the time. Just open my laptop and I'm already online. I have a messenger running, video calls are coming in, and my Bitrix24 is always working. All you need to do is to install these desktop apps, we've got one for Windows as well, to set up a perfect work environment. We are releasing version 11, which includes new video calls, video conferences, call recording, custom backgrounds, screen sharing. All these are available in our new Windows and Mac applications. They're great. In fact, once you've installed them on your computers in your office, you can be absolutely sure that your employees will always be in touch and available for messaging and calls. This has been the new improved Bitrix24 Virtual Office. It has everything you need to work in this new reality of ours. A great tool that works for you and your business. Well, let's move to the next segment. Tasks and projects. All businesses know what they ought to do, but knowing does not always mean doing. They don't believe that tasks are important. They don't see the bigger picture. Sometimes they simply can't find people who know how to work on goals and objectives properly. Bitrix24 has a whole module dedicated to working with tasks. It is integrated in our environment. We've already demonstrated how you can work with tasks from different places. And now we're going to go deeper and see what's new in here. Right off the bat, we've got these new efficiency tools, which allow you to see how well your employees are working on their objectives and whether they complete them on time. Tasks and projects are a major component of the Bitrix24 ecosystem. It's probably one of our most often used tools.
In fact, sometimes within a single company, different departments or different employees choose a method of working with tasks that is familiar and convenient to them. It could be the task list or deadlines, or it could be...
The deadlines. I used to work with tasks using my plan almost all the time, but lately I've switched to deadlines because I can see what has to be done today, tomorrow, or for the next few weeks, and this list is organized automatically. For me, it's very convenient.
You can view your tasks in the form of a calendar, create your own stages and move tasks from one stage to another, or use the classic Gantt chart mode.
One of our clients has found an absolutely genius formula for the implementation of Bitrix24 tasks. He says to his employees, if a task is not in Bitrix24, it does not exist. By the way, there is another life hack. Sometimes the manager says, I don't have time to set tasks. Let's say you're in the middle of a meeting and you just tell your assistant, could you set a task for me, please? In Bitrix24, you can specify by whom the task is set, and then the manager sees how well the employee understood the task. Just remember to set tasks and Bitrix24 will handle the rest. So what's really important here? Not to forget how to set a task and not to miss an important one. How do you manage to pull that off when you have to deal with hundreds of tasks? For that, we have developed a special system to help you focus your attention. I guess we need to explain what that actually means. It's a set of actions that Bitrix24 performs to draw your attention to what you really need to focus on, saving from the hassle of dealing with a myriad of tasks all at once. So, what does it consist of? Well, first of all, when you look through the tasks, you see them sorted in real time by activity, which means that the task counter draws your attention to the fact that there are new comments, or your reaction is required, or the task is overdue. All you need to do is view this task and read this comment for the counter to go away. No counters means all the tasks are done. That's the first component. The other component is something we call ping messages. You send messages only to those people who need them. There can be up to 100 people working on a task, including the one who's responsible for this task.
Observers.
The person who created this task. And ping messages are addressed only to those who actually need them. For example, if the system detects that a task is about to be delayed, only the person responsible for this task will see the relevant message. No one else in this task will see the counters or ping messages.
Apart from the fact that you are now added to the task, there's been some messaging going on. But as a new observer, when you enter the task, you see only important messages. You see what your colleagues have discussed before. And regarding pings, they're minimized.
When we just came up with the idea of pings, we thought, well, do we write things like, hey, what's up? What's the task status? How's it coming along in real life? And we made it possible to send a service ping message with a status request for a task either from your mobile application or from the task itself. And a message comes up indicating your request. Not all of the task participants see this comment, but only those who are responsible for the task. It is a great solution to remove noise from the tasks, to draw your attention only to the tasks that are important now. New project management. We had to work a lot on this module, and we are actually pleased with the result. Now the project section looks like this. When you enter it, you see all projects sorted by activity. There will be a counter of the messages indicating the level of activity inside the project. New comments, actions, documents, etc. You can attach several projects that you are working on right now. One click is enough to see the project contents without leaving this project. Now they are open in sliders, you see all the tasks that are here, and you see your counters and the counters of other employees who are participating in this project. Of course, you've got tasks and news on this project available instantly, as well as drives and documents, everything you need for work. The thing that I personally like most is individual counters. There are some counters for overdue tasks or new comments, but as a manager or a project member, I want to see similar counters for other people. And it helps me to understand how things are going on within the project and act accordingly. The way we work with projects has changed fundamentally. Now we have the Attention Focus System. It's easier to navigate projects and work with them. Oh, and that one rule. Just don't forget to set the task, and Bitrix24 will help you complete it on time. Bitrix24 Tasks and Projects is a large section, probably the most important section within the company. We're actively developing it, and we have presented a lot of new options, which are there in the mobile app too, a part of the larger Bitrix24 ecosystem. So these were the new tasks and projects. Now let's move on to our next segment, the one and only CRM.
Hello.
Hello, Yuri. Thanks for joining me.
The pleasure's all mine.
So, CRM. The funny thing is that sometimes to get your sales going, all you need to do is simply implement CRM.
True.
It gets me surprised when people start to formalize their sales process. They create a sales funnel, ask questions trying to get it going, but always face the same problems: losing money, misplacing leads, deals, and so on. That's why the very fact of switching to CRM comes off as incredibly effective. But CRM is usually understood as a separate unit. A unit in which we are responsible only for sales. We, however, believe that CRM is more than just sales. Bitrix24 CRM also includes a contact center to assist you with the client communication. Plus, we've got CRM Marketing, CRM Analytics, and Sales Intelligence. That's what a modern CRM should be designed for, both sales and marketing. And we're going to tell you about it now. So let's start with the contact center.
We've put together the most important communication channels you use to communicate with your clients. Email, telephony, messengers. Just open a channel, connect your users, your employees, and start communicating with your clients.
Oh, and Facebook connection. Let me show you how easy it is.
You just need to log in, connect your account, and grant all the permissions. That's it. The channel is connected and you can communicate with your clients.
What does it mean? Your clients on Facebook will write you Facebook messages, and these messages will appear in Bitrix24 CRM. You can reply to them directly in the chat. All the message history will be saved in the deal. If a client gives you their name, contact details, or some other information, we will automatically find it in your client database, recognize it, and pull it up so that you could easily communicate with this person.
Your journey into the world of CRM starts with the contact center. Don't forget to open this section from time to time to see the new channels that we've provided for your clients and your employees.
In fact, my friends often ask me this question. Where do you start when you want to implement CRM? And I always give them one answer. Start with the contact center. If you set up a form on the site, you will start getting some deals. If you set up an online chat or enable telephony, you will see even more deals coming.
Now let's see how one of the channels works. Let's take telephony. When an outgoing or incoming call is made, you always see who made the call, the information about your client. You can talk to the client and not worry about the fact that you have no time to record something, because you'll get a recording of the conversation which you can easily listen to later.
Telephony is an interesting, very successful, and very important solution for our clients. In fact, we get a lot of calls from them, and now in this new version, we finally have call statistics.
It's very important to see your call stats. Your employee workload, how many calls they make per month or 3 months, how many calls they miss. After all, it's very important to see that there are no missed calls from your clients. All important reports are collected in one section where you can control everything that's going on in your calls.
In this version, we have a whole list of analytical reports on telephony, and they will allow you to find a lot of important, actionable data. Email. This is probably worth mentioning briefly, but it is still one of the most important communication tools. First of all, it is very easy to connect. You can connect any mailbox to the CRM, start receiving emails, create deals based on them, and communicate inside Bitrix24. The second element here is classic CRM. And I've got to admit, we have a really great product. You can set up a CRM card for communication with your clients easily. To keep all this communication within the CRM, to see all the messages in your timeline, to make calls and save call recordings, and to do other things you have to do in CRM. Excellent product overall, tried and tested, and loved by millions. Hundreds of thousands of clients use it on a daily basis, which makes one of the biggest CRMs out there. And it's fully integrated with other Bitrix24 services. So, what is new in Bitrix CRM? Let's talk about the new features. We have these regular weekly meetings with our CTO, where we collect your feedback and ideas and analyze them, and see how we can implement them in the nearest releases. This year, we've got a whole set of major UI/UX updates inside Bitrix24 CRM.
Kanban is a place where you work with deals and where you can follow the status of a deal. Some employees put additional information about the deals. And you'll see this information immediately, in real time, on the Kanban board. A really nifty solution, allowing you to see all the changes in real time.
Our team did a great job here. The CRM card view is already available to all your employees. Set up a card once and then install it for your employee or those who need to work with this card. Multiple choice of elements in Kanban. We have improved it and made it more useful and convenient. Setting up actions in the card is a very important tool.
An important tool indeed. There are a lot of new actions in Kanban, in the CRM card. These actions differ depending on the person who works with the card. Some people make calls, others use email or text messages. And now you can create your own list of actions and focus on the important things.
I know that this is a very important update for a lot of our clients. Another new thing here is mandatory fields, a really convenient tool that allows you to automate the requirements for different stages. For example, when you're creating an invoice, the system lets you know which fields should be filled out. We've made a few improvements here, and now all fields, including our regular fields, can be set as mandatory, depending on a particular stage. It makes working in CRM more convenient.
How about listening to call recordings? Well, some people prefer to listen at regular speed. Others can't wait. Some calls can be 10, 15 or 20 minutes long. And you want to get the main idea of the conversation faster. Now you can increase the playback speed and listen to call recordings faster. Of course, it can be set up individually for each manager. Next up is Catalog. Lots of improvements here. Now, the Catalog works for both CRM and your online store. The new version has SKU support, and you can easily work with items like clothes that have different colours or properties.
In fact, we've been working on the catalogue for like 8 months or so.
Yes.
And this work will continue.
Properties. We have a standard field called Address, which contains a map. Now, using this map, you can ask your client for directions to deliver the order right to their doorstep and not bother them with multiple calls.
Search for duplicates.
Yes, it's a really great feature, and let me tell you how it works. We've always wanted to make sure there are no duplicates, but hey, people make mistakes sometimes, which leads to duplicate entries. Once a day, the system scans the data, identifies the duplicates, and tries to merge them automatically. We've done a lot of tests, and the new algorithm is 4 times more convenient and works better than the one we had before. Out of 1,000 duplicates, it can automatically identify and merge up to 800 duplicates. It runs automatically for every CRM user, once a day.
This next feature is something very special. Zoom integrated with our CRM. Here's how it works. When you open a card, you have a separate element in which you can set up a Zoom meeting and choose the time. You can create a meeting, make that Zoom call to your client, and get a recording of that call and the rest of the call data saved for later use. The audio track and the video track will be saved separately. They will be uploaded from Zoom, saved in your CRM, and will always be available during the whole meeting inside a deal. Zoom in CRM is a great way to plan meetings and automatically save everything you need to interact with the client. One more tool, which I'd like to talk about, is CRM robots, or CRM Automation. Instead of moving a deal from one stage to another manually, why not have a robot do it for you? They have many customizable parameters and offer a lot of automation capabilities. They can send an email or text message for you, generate or send a draft document. Basically, every standard process with set stages. It is a very simple and very effective way to automate your CRM, help your sales reps, and improve the quality of your customer service. It's a unique solution that works in CRM and provides automation throughout the whole sales funnel.
Thanks to the great feedback you're giving us, we are constantly adding new robots. This year, we've added new robots to the CRM Store. They control payments and shipments. There's these cool triggers that control how quickly your sales rep responds to a message in the chat or messenger. And if it's taking too long, you can step in and write to them saying something along the lines of, "Hey, you need to do your job faster."
Coming up next is the document generator. We have a separate generator in our Bitrix24, which creates documents based on your templates using the data directly from CRM. It's a very simple and efficient tool that our clients like to use a lot. And now we're presenting yet another interesting feature here. Let's say you want to create a document. You do it like this, generating it using a template. It can be an invoice, a draft contract, anything. Send the link to this document to a client, and from then on, you will be able to see when the client clicks on this link in real time. Yep, we think about little things like this too. You can set up a robot.
Yeah, it's like magic.
You can set up a robot to send a notification to the sales rep who's responsible for the deal, and they will immediately know they need to call that client.
The client has just opened your
That's
document
incredible.
and boom, they got a call from you right away. That's what we call telepathic marketing.
Yeah, it might come off as some kind of magic. The document generator is a part of Bitrix24. Unfortunately, we don't have much time now to tell you about it in greater detail, but the sales tunnels we've got and the ability to nurture your relationship with the client through different funnels is one of the unique features of Bitrix24. The client moves from one stage of the deal to the next one, all shown in one funnel, the whole flow.
Yes, and the client might want to write to your customer support at one of the stages.
There goes NPS and other client service solutions. The sales tunnel works perfectly. Well, here are some more CRM updates, which are a part of this release. I know we don't have enough time now to tell you all about them, but at least you can pause the video and read about them later. CRM Forms are another essential part of the Bitrix24 CRM, a very popular and widely used tool. Just recently, we have started to redesign our CRM forms, and were originally going to release them a little bit earlier, but for various reasons, the process was delayed. However, we are ready to release both the form processor and the full form designer before the end of this year for you to start using them. Next up is CRM Store. Before we start talking about it, let's watch a quick video introducing this unique feature that we premiered not long ago.
So you've worked long and hard on a deal. Your client's ready to pay. And it would be such a shame to lose your customer at this crucial stage. Let's simplify this step for everyone involved. Bitrix24 CRM Store helps your clients pay with ease and helps you receive their payments. Create an order right inside the CRM and send it off to your client. Your customer will receive a message with their order details and pay in the way that works for them. You'll receive the payment in seconds while your client gets their receipt. You won't need any complex settings and integrations for Bitrix24 CRM Store. Connect your payment system and start selling. With Bitrix24 CRM Store, you'll never lose your client at the payment stage. Accept online payments, hard cash, credit and debit cards, or using a QR code. Use a mobile app instead of a payment terminal. Bitrix24, the CRM that sells. Get your free Bitrix24 account at bitrix24.com today.
A really great tool. We first released it just 6 months ago.
Yep.
And recently, we've been doing lots of interviews with our clients to find out what their experience with CRM Store was. And it was awesome. We learned
it was unexpected to see companies, different companies, that work with our product. They've completed over 1,000 deals. For example, a garage rental service in the United States.
They issue about 1,500 to 2,000 invoices every month, and they accept payments through our CRM Store. Another case is selling clothes online.
Diamonds!
Oh, and there's a client of ours
Yes.
from Brazil. They sell diamonds using our CRM Store. That's thousands of transactions every month.
Yep, thousands of transactions.
And it's so amazing to receive positive feedback about their products from our clients. They seem to be really impressed, if not stunned, because it's such a cool new experience for them. The company not only communicates directly with customers, but also gets paid immediately using all modern payment methods. This time we are planning to release a CRM terminal as a logical addition to the CRM Store. We expected to release it a bit earlier, but there was a delay, and we're hoping to release it by the end of the year. So what's new here? Well, first of all, we are adding new payment systems and SMS providers.
For different countries, for the USA, Great Britain, Germany, France, Spain, Poland, Turkey, and also for Brazil, Argentina, Mexico and Colombia.
And also Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia. In fact, there are quite a lot of localizations. We get feedback from our clients and realize their needs.
Don't forget to write in the feedback forms what payment systems in what cities and countries you need, and we'll try to add them. For example, we've recently added UA Pay and LickPay support in Ukraine, as well as integration with Checkbox. Actually, we were the first on the market to have provided Checkbox support. As for Belarus, we remember talking to you guys at the conference, and you asked to connect BPaid and Alpha Bank, and so we did it. We also added Wupkassa in Kazakhstan.
Our CRM Store has taken off pretty well. The partners seem to dig it. So do the customers. Once again, this is for all of our partners. Be sure to offer CRM Store to your customers. It's a very promising tool. Now, let's move on to our next segment. Calls on your mobile phone. Sometimes your employees would use their personal mobile phones for work purposes as well, which may pose a problem. It's quite difficult to keep track of calls on such phones, although there are some solutions for integration with mobile operators. But we wanted to find a completely fresh solution. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CRM Mobile Call Tracking. Here's how it works. You run our application, and if you have granted permission, it will detect calls that have not been registered. It will be very easy to exclude your personal calls. All the other calls that can be considered business calls, you add a description, amount, and some audio note. Then send it straight to your CRM. If you happen to communicate with a client in one of your messages, you can look through the message history, take a screenshot, attach it, and send it again to your CRM. We think that this might prove really helpful for some people, and we're going to keep on improving upon this idea. It will be a part of our new mobile application.
The most important thing is that the calls are instantly saved in the CRM. You enter this information in your CRM when you still remember it, and it's all there for later use.
So that was our new tool, Mobile Call Tracking. Coming up next is CRM Analytics.
With this tool, you can track everything you do in your CRM, including sales and the work of your sales reps. Here, you can create sales plans, Share these plans with your managers, see how they're being implemented, and, of course, control which customers bring you the most revenue.
This is a set of tools which allows you to make the right decisions in terms of management and HR. It is a large amount of data. A separate segment here is CRM Marketing. It allows you to segment your audience, for example, create a segment of people who bought from you last year or use any other criteria. Put these segments together and start working with them. How can you do it? Well, you can reach them via email, SMS, or you can send a voice message or make a call. Any kind of marketing you prefer. By taking a segment of customers, the ones who have already bought from you, you can put out a look-alike ad. It will find you people similar to the segment you created. You can automatically place ads that will appear online and users will see it. We believe that CRM is not only for sales, but also for marketing. We are constantly developing this tool, and we are now going to show you the automatic creation and launch of advertisements. Take a look at it.
More and more companies are forced to work online. If they want to stay competitive, they have to be able to launch ads online. That's when our service comes in. It will help you set up your ad by choosing a post and connecting it with the product you want to sell. It will ask you questions like, who's your target audience? New or existing customers? It will scan your database, make an automatic lookalike, and create new deals. Then you have to specify your region, decide how much you want to spend on advertising. Even though it's your first attempt, you know you've got a good product and the sales will start coming. Launch the ad and see how it works.
The initial tests proved to be very successful. More often than not, our algorithm would achieve better results than the users who launched the ads themselves. And we want to keep on developing automated ad campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. And finally, the icing on the cake that's Bitrix24 CRM is our CRM Analytics. This is a must-have tool in situations like the current crisis. More than ever, we all want to know if the money we spent on advertising was spent well. What level of sales should we expect if we drive audiences from Google, Facebook, or Instagram? You can get a full, comprehensive breakdown of your sales. No need to integrate anything. It's all set up and ready to work. This tool analyzes all communication channels with your clients. It's a unique product that generates a lot of feedback from our clients, most of whom work in sales professionally, with huge budgets. Their ideas have been very helpful to us to develop this further.
Exactly. You often ask us to provide an ability to analyze as much ad data as possible, and we've done it. Now you can control both ad groups and ad channels, which is a real benefit. You want details for each keyword? Well, here you go. Choose a channel, a specific ad, and see which keywords perform better. We'll come back to this topic a little bit later.
What we give you is an opportunity to understand what tools will work. When we talk with people from marketing departments, we often realize that their job is not only to produce effective ads, but also to remove the ineffective ones. And now you can easily see which ads are ineffective using Bitrix24 CRM Analytics. So that's your modern CRM designed for both sales and marketing. 5 components: contact center, CRM, marketing, analytics and sales intelligence. Lots of new, great, useful features. We hope you will enjoy them as much as we enjoyed developing them. Great job. Thank you, Yuri. Let's move on. Our next segment is sites. Here we are. Okay. Bitrix24 Sites is a great tool, which helps you to sell more. Come to think of it, everyone needs a website these days. Salespeople, marketers, Even HR managers make websites to recruit new employees.
Our visual website editor is so simple, intuitive, and easy to use that any of your employees can create a beautiful website within 30 minutes. Here, you can upload your own pictures, write your own text, and upload videos. And we took care of responsive design as well. Your website's gonna look awesome on any device.
The data we receive from our users just proves the fact that we managed to create a very simple yet effective tool. More than 380,000 websites have been created using the Bitrix24 visual editor. Some of these sites are tiny, they're strictly promotional. Others look really impressive, as they are designed for big sales and a huge audience. We've had a few instances where ministries in several countries created COVID-19 awareness websites using Bitrix24. The traffic was huge, and we are ready to handle it. The sites are actively developing. Companies need them. Developing this product, we add something new every time. We publish new templates. We analyze current trends, look at what has changed, and offer you some new templates. They're beautifully designed and wonderfully animated. We always put our customers first. We realized that the main goal with websites is to create a form, collect some information, and engage visitors. Everything that happens on your website will be recorded in CRM. And of course, our sales intelligence works with websites as well. There is no need to update anything or write some additional code. We have released another batch of fresh templates and added the corporate colors feature.
Another great addition here is Automatic CEO. We submit your newly created website to Google and it automatically returns it with all the keywords and meta text filled in. You don't need to do anything extra to make your website indexed in Google search. Bitrix24 automatically generates links to social networking sites and messengers. If you need to share the link to your website, we will help you choose a nice picture and text for your site to make this rich link look really rich in all messengers and social media.
There is one problem which used to be difficult to solve. You've got a really beautiful template with 3 buttons, but you only need 2, or vice versa. There's a website block that looks great, but there's not enough UI elements.
Or you just want to have some more customization options. Sure, we have a lot of beautiful templates, but sometimes you want to create something unusual, special. So here we are presenting Superblock.
Let's take a closer look. Superblock is essentially a completely new visual editor, which allows you to choose any of the blocks that are already there, load them into the editor of the Superblock, and then play around with them. You can change the location, remove elements, add elements, and edit them. There is a whole list of blocks that you can place inside. And all these options give you the chance to create a completely new block. We have managed to solve another important problem: responsive design. Any changes you make will look the same on any device, whether it's a smartphone, tablet, or desktop computer.
You don't need to tweak any additional settings to see if your block is displayed correctly on a certain device. It's all done automatically. Just customize the block you need and leave the rest to Bitrix24 sites.
We believe that Superblock will significantly improve the visual component of your future websites and make them more appealing. Bitrix24 Sites is an ideal tool for web design studios and agencies. We have even created a special form which our clients can send to the web studios or to our partners with a request for some content. Studios or partners can use this tool for their advertising campaigns. Please send your requests and use the new Bitrix24 sites. Thank you so much for your help, Kate. And now, we're moving on to the next segment, e-commerce. It's something that I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. Let's travel back in time to the year 2010. What was it like? We would use our computers or laptops all the time. We surfed the internet through a browser. We searched the information mainly through search engines, Google. Once we would find something interesting, we would spend a lot of time reading a web page. On average, we used to spend an hour or two online. But what's it like today in 2020? Well, we spend anywhere from 5 to 7 hours a day in applications, not on the internet as we used to before. We use Facebook, Instagram, different messengers, TikTok, YouTube, and we hardly ever use a search engine. Sometimes, we may search for something on Google and then go back to our beloved applications. And all these big changes, it is not a classic web as we used to have. In fact, our behavior has reshaped the way we shop online. In 2010, you were looking for products in a search engine. Then opened a website and maybe ordered something from there. Now, in 2020, you use mobile apps to shop online. You follow someone, you see an ad, and you make your purchases inside those apps. This is a huge difference, which has led to a complete change in e-commerce. Customers want to communicate with the brand directly. They want personal communication, and they want personal service. We're glad to announce the new Bitrix24 online store.
Many people think that online stores have to be complicated. You need to design them first and then add lots of content. What we would like to show you is that online stores are in fact easy to create. Just a few clicks. You need to enter your name and your phone number, import the product catalogue from your social media profile, or create a new one right here on the spot. Fill in the product name, the picture, the price, and there you go. Your online store is online. That's how e-commerce should be made.
Yeah, it's all done in just a few clicks. Here you can see what your online store will look like immediately after you publish it.
We're all used to scrolling our social media. Posts here, posts there, Facebook, Instagram, every day. Our online store follows exactly the same logic. You see beautiful pictures, tap on them, and then you have the chance to see detailed product information. You can also use the menu with different sections. Bitrix24 online store is just like every other social media, which is why it's so easy to use.
Yeah, it's super easy to create and publish your online store in Bitrix24. It looks good and meets the expectations of people who are used to browsing social media. But that's not it. Having an online store does not automatically lead to huge sales. You have to complete the deal. Let me explain. To make an order in the Bitrix24 online store, all you need is to give your name and phone number. The order is formed and goes into CRM. You can see that a new deal has been created. If you open it, you will find all the customer data. Now you need to make a call to the client. You are talking to them. You might also make an additional offer or answer their questions. Now, the client is ready to pay. Let's use our CRM Store. Send an invoice to your client and receive the payment. The whole thing is happening in real time. That's what personal sales are all about. Everything that happens with the order is reflected in the deal. There is no need to check orders. You work directly with the deals automating your sales as you go. From a client's perspective, personal sales are basically these 4 steps. Open online store. Make a quick order using just the name and phone number. Talk to the sales assistant over the phone and pay for the order. This is one of the scenarios for personal sales. There is another scenario where the process could be fully automated but still remain personal. The order is again formed using the client's name and phone number. The customer then proceeds directly to payment and delivery options. Everything you would expect from a regular online store. What's really important is that clients can place their orders directly from their smartphones. So, the second scenario includes the following steps. Open online store. Make a quick order, pay for the order, a call from the sales assistant. The D2C, direct-to-consumer model, suggests talking to the client over the phone. We make the process of calling a client simpler and integrate it with the CRM so that you can provide additional consulting to your clients and maybe even offer them an upsell. We continue to develop our online store and CRM. It's a big segment and we're working on it, providing even more possibilities for you. Every client and contact will be recognized. All the necessary data will always be substituted. Everything will be automated. And, of course, everything will be integrated with the analytics. You will know which advertisement gives you sales.
No matter what type of business you have, you can launch online sales in just a few clicks with Bitrix24. This is your online store, which you don't have to create. Just add products to the catalog and start receiving orders right away. Share the link to your store in messengers and social media. Turn followers into buyers. In addition to messages, you can get contact details and orders right in your CRM. Contact your clients, consult them, and help them make the right choice. Enable payment systems and accept payments online. Sell online and provide better customer service than your competitors with Bitrix24. Bitrix24 Online Store helps you sell online.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well done. I am very glad that we have e-commerce in Bitrix24. We plan to start testing by the end of this year. Now we are actively working on international payment systems, a full range of integration with CRM. We are very satisfied with the results. And as we have told at the beginning of the presentation, we have a surprise for you. We would like to present you a new product from Bitrix24. In general, we are used to trust video formats. We watch live videos. We watch Instagram. We watch Facebook. And customers trust stories that happen not only on photos, but in online videos. And it seems that people like this format. People are ready to buy in live. Taking this into account, we are going to present you a new product called Bitrix24 Live Store. I think it makes sense to tell you about two scenarios. There are more than two, but still. What is a live store? One of the scenarios is the following. You go into the store, open your laptop, and run the live broadcast. The broadcast will be available directly on your website. Actually, you go on with your business until you hear a call. That means you have a client. And he asks you some questions. All the data from the customer will be collected in your CRM. And now you are ready to communicate.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Kate, and I'm here to help you. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat. Yes, we just got some new sweaters in. Let me show you. Here's one in pink, and another one in red. Which one do you like better? Great! You can pay online. I'll send you the payment link right away. There you go. Choose any payment method you like. Have a great day!
I like this video. What did you see here? First of all, one manager can consult and serve a large number of customers who can look at the online store. This is enough to consult 5, 10, or 15 people. It turns out that you can open a live store at the same time with your real store. Perhaps someone starts selling online. You can send links, place orders, and make sales directly in live. And this is the first scenario. But, of course, it is also possible to make live sales on demand. How does it work? Unlike the first scenario, you don't go online. You wait for the first client to make a call when they find an offer to start live. And this is enough, for example, to provide personal communication. You can serve the client individually. We'll get the information, enter it into CRM, and make a call for you. That's it. Here is one-to-one session.
Hello, my name's Kate. How can I help you?
Hi, I was wondering if you have any denim jackets.
Yeah, we've got some really nice ones. Let me show you. Check out this jacket. It's one of our top sellers.
Can you please try it on yourself?
Sure, here you go.
Awesome. I think I'll take it. How much is it?
It's $200.
So, how do I pay?
Here, I'll send you the payment link. Done. You can pay now.
Can I have it delivered by tomorrow?
Sure, we'll arrange that.
Great. Paying now. Ready.
Got it. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, colleagues, for the presentation. I think we should applaud. It's very nice. And it's very clear it's how it should work. You can see the connection to the clients, how they ask questions about the products, and how all the system works. You send links, sell goods directly in live, and give a new experience to your customers. You give them the opportunity to get a personal consultation and to order or book what they need. It is a new story that will be actively developed.
When you're making a sale live, it's very important to see who is making the order right now and who is just in the process of selecting the product. This encourages the other customers to buy too. They think, I need this product too. I see that other customers are buying it. Some form of social proof is a very important thing in the live store.
We are planning to develop a live store. We would like to give opportunities to sale online. We will actively integrate the solution with those live broadcasts that appear on the market. Recently, YouTube has introduced such integrations. Facebook and Instagram are developing the same schedule. I think that most of the participants will give the integration with the live store. Nevertheless, taking traffic from these platforms into your online store, you will do your best to convert customers and make sales. It is an excellent solution.
Would you like to sell online as easily as in a physical store? Connect Bitrix24 Live Store to your website. Consult your customers, get their contact details, and sell online. It's even better than a physical store. Without leaving their home, your clients can ask you questions, see the products live, and order them right away, directly from their smartphones. With Bitrix24 Live Store, you will get contact details of every person who visited your store, accept payments online during your live streams, and easily motivate other viewers to make a purchase. Orders, contact details of your clients, message history, they will all be saved in the CRM for future sales. Bitrix24 Live Store helps to boost your sales.
Fantastic! What a great story. We have presented you a lot of new tools at our new Bitrix24 Seoul. So, let's sum them up. A large block of online office updates, tasks and projects in order to work according to your goals, CRM to sell more, sites, a block of the online store updates, excellent solutions and prices. It is worth saying that the prices have not changed and that we have the best pricing policy on the market. We take a fixed price. We are ready to provide you with solutions for the whole company that include many functions for the price from $19 to $200. You can see at this slide and get to know what options will be available for you. Sometimes our clients take screenshots or pause to see more closely what options will be available. When will they be released? The current situation allows us to say that we have 3 large blocks. Some of them you can already use. In Bitrix24 Labs, some blocks are being tested now. They will be implemented and released after the testing procedure. Generally, this stage takes from 1 to 5 weeks. There are tasks that are being developed now. We are very proud and are planning to present all the tools that are being tested now until the end of the year. The rest of the tools will be presented at the beginning of next year. Our team is working really hard to provide you with a better user experience. Thank you to everyone who was watching our online presentation. It was Bitrix24 Seoul. We are proud of the Bitrix24 team. The guys made great results. Wait for our updates in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. Welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Larger, larger than, bigger, bigger than, living hopes and dreams. You know you could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. You know you could.
Sergey, Kate, Yuri, thanks a lot, guys, for this wonderful presentation of the new Bitrix24. Today, we have shown you new, improved tools to help your company organize efficient business processes and communications, in the office or remotely. These tools will help you increase online sales and track your marketing metrics more efficiently. Wherever you are now, thanks for watching us. Let's push the limits together.
Good morning. I'm really glad to welcome you all here where we're about to start our presentation of the new Bitrix24. Thank you to everyone who was watching our online presentation. It was Bitrix24 Seoul.